Every night the girl walked in silence under the sky that never showed stars. Her feet were bare and dirty from the dust of streets that never felt soft. She held a small piece of cloth that once looked like a blanket, but now it was just old and torn. Her eyes were large and full of something no one wanted to understand. She did not cry. She did not beg. She only looked at the closed doors. In Sector 17 of the outer human colony, the nights were quiet, but not peaceful. Drones flew over the buildings, scanning for movement, scanning for heat, scanning for life that did not belong. The girl always avoided their eyes. She moved like a shadow, a small silent shadow. Each night she picked a new doorstep. She sat with her knees to her chest, her arms wrapped around them, her head down. She did not sleep much, but she closed her eyes just enough to rest. If someone opened the door, she would not speak. She would simply stand up and walk away. If someone shouted, she would walk faster. If someone threw water or kicked her, she would still walk away without a sound. The neighbors talked about her in whispers. They said she was not human. They said she might be a spy. They said she should be removed, but no one dared to touch her for long. There was something about her that made people feel strange, like she was fragile, like she was dangerous, like she was watching something they could not see. One night she stopped in front of a door that looked forgotten. It was not painted like the others. Its lights were off. Its steps were covered in dust and leaves. Still she sat down there. She pulled the cloth tighter around her and leaned against the door. The wood felt warm, warmer than the last door. Maybe even safe inside the house. A man sat in silence. He watched her through a small crack in the curtain. He had seen her before 4 times 5, maybe each time on a different step. He did not speak. He just watched, and he remembered long ago, before the war began, he had seen eyes like hers, not on Earth, not in any city, but on a distant planet burned by fire and fear. He had been a soldier then. He had held a gun, not a cup of tea. He had learned to shoot, not to heal. He had seen children like her run from fire. He had seen doors shut in their faces. He had watched from a safe place and done nothing. Now he watched again, but this time the silence was heavier. This time his tea was cold and untouched. This time the war was over, but the shame was still alive. He stood up slowly, walked to the door, placed his hand on the old knob. He did not know what he was going to say. He only knew that he could not watch anymore. The door creaked as it opened. A soft yellow light spilled onto the step. The girl did not move. She only opened her eyes and looked up. Her face was not scared. Her face was not surprised. It was only tired. He looked at her and spoke. His voice was soft, like it had not been used in years. He said 5 words. Words that would change everything. He said, "Come inside, please, forever." The girl looked at him for a long moment. Then she stood up. She stepped forward slowly, like a leaf moving in quiet wind. She crossed the doorway, and for the first time in many nights, she did not sleep on the doorstep. Outside, the sky remained dark. Drones kept flying. The city kept sleeping. But something had changed. A door had opened. A choice had been made. A life had taken a small step away from fear, and the man who once closed his eyes now left his door open. The door was still open. The light from inside touched the girl's feet, like it was asking her if she trusted it. She had stepped in without a word. She had walked into a place that felt nothing like the cold outside. Her eyes moved slowly. Walls full of old books, a table with metal tools, a screen with blinking green lights, a strange smell of old wood and something burnt. The man closed the door behind her. He did not ask her name. He did not ask why she was there. He only walked past her and placed a cup of water on the table. She did not sit. She stood near the door for a long moment. Then, without looking at him, she whispered one word: "Safe." Her voice was small, like wind in broken glass. The man turned toward her. His eyes were tired but gentle. He answered with only one word, maybe. His name was Ray, once a soldier, then a scientist, now something in between. He lived alone, no friends, no family, no reason to talk to anyone until this moment. His hand shook slightly as he lifted the cup of tea he had made before she arrived. He had made It out of habit, not hunger. He never drank it. He only made it to remember something. Years ago on a battlefield under a red sky, he had seen a girl just like her. Different face, same eyes wide silent, full of questions no one wanted to answer. He had walked past her then. He had orders, he had fear, he had silence tonight. He had opened a door instead. He watched her as she stepped farther into the room. She moved like someone who had never been inside a home before. She touched the chair, the shelf, the lamp, and then she stopped at a photo frame. In the photo was a young human girl smiling. Her hair was tied in 2 little braids. Her eyes were closed, but her smile was loud. She looked at Ray and then back at the photo. Is she gone? Ray looked down. He did not speak. He only nodded. Was she like me? His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to say no. But all he could say was one word: better. The girl sat on the floor. Not on the chair, not on the couch. She sat on the floor, as if she still did not believe the space was hers. Sat too, not far, not close, in a place that felt like maybe distance could still protect them both. He asked what her name was. She hesitated. Then she said it. It sounded like a song from another world, not loud, not soft, just real. She asked him something no one had ever asked him. Why did you open the door? Ray looked at her and answered slowly, because I did not the last time. The silence that followed was not empty. It was heavy, like something important was standing between them. Lyra pulled something out of her cloth bundle, a small object made of glowing blue glass. Ray leaned forward. His scientist mind recognized the shape. That is not human technology. She did not speak. She only held it close and turned her face away like she had shown him too much. Ray's mind raced. If she had alien tech, real alien tech, she was not just lost. She was dangerous or important, or both. He stood up, paced the room, looked at his communication console. He could call it in. He could report her. The reward would be more than enough, but his hand did not move. He looked at her again. Not the glass, not the tech, just Hirsch. She was watching him, not afraid, just waiting, like she had seen this moment before many times on many doorsteps. And this time she had decided to trust. Ray turned off the console. He walked to the small cabinet, took out a blanket. Not the best, not the cleanest, but warm. He handed it to her. You can stay for now. She took the blanket and nodded. Once, and for the first time since the door opened, she closed her eyes without fear. The sun never truly rose in this part of the city. Only a soft gray light slipped through the cracks of buildings like a ghost trying to remember warmth. Inside the quiet house, Lyra sat by the window watching the light without blinking. She did not move. She did not speak. She only listened. Ray sat on the floor across the room with a small tool in one hand and a broken sensor in the other. He had not fixed anything in months. But now his hands were busy. His mind was not. She has not eaten. He looked up from the wires and spoke. You need food, humans. Eat to stay alive. You should too. Lyra shook her head. I do not need much. My kind absorbs energy, heat, light. Sometimes. Memory raised an eyebrow. Memory. Lyra nodded. If something is strong enough, I feel it when I enter a space. I feel your house has sadness, but also something soft. I do not know the word in your language. Ray looked down at the floor where the photo of his daughter still lay near the table. He picked it up slowly and placed it back on the shelf. Then he sat beside Lyra. Tell me about your kind. Please, I want to understand. Lyra turned her head slowly. You call us the Relin, but that is not our name. We do not use names like you do. We are known by what we carry. Ray did not understand. Carry what? Lyra placed her hand over her chest. We carry memory, history, the shape of time. That is why your people feared us, because we never forget. Ray looked into her eyes and saw something glowing deep inside them, not just light. Something older, something sad. They said your kind started the war, that you used tech to control minds, that you were planning to erase Earth. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment. Your leaders saw what they wanted to see. A mirror is dangerous to those who lie to themselves. Ray sat back against the wall. He remembered the war, the fear, the silence before the bombs. He remembered the command, destroy the Relin, shoot before they speak. Do not look in their eyes now. He had looked. Now he had listened. Now nothing felt clear anymore. Lyra opened the bundle again. This time she showed him the glass device fully. It was small, shaped like a teardrop. Glowing from the inside like it held a tiny storm ray leaned forward. I have seen this in files, one of these was used to stop a fleet midair. It bent gravity. It was not a weapon, but it stopped 100 ships in seconds. Lyra spoke quietly. This one is older. It does not stop ships. It opens something else. What she looked at him, the heart of planets. The memory of the stars, the doorway to peace or war. It depends on who holds it. Ray felt cold inside. And why do you have it? Why would they give this to a child? Because I am not a child. Not in the way you think. My body is small, but I carry lifetimes. I was chosen before I was born. Outside the window, a small black drone passed by. It did not stop, but its eye blinked red once, then faded into the sky. Ray stood up quickly. They are scanning this area more often. They know someone unusual is here. Lyra did not look afraid. She simply stood and stepped back from the window. They will come soon. I feel it. Ray opened a panel on the wall and pulled out an old signal jammer. It was weak, but it might buy time. He looked at her again. Why here? Why my doorstep? Lyra looked around the room slowly. Because this place remembers something kind, and I needed that more than anything. Ray stared at her for a long moment. His past, his guilt, his silence. Now all stood beside her like shadows refusing to leave. He whispered. Without meaning to. You are not from this world. Lyra replied, no, but I came to save it. The sky above. Sector 17 was not quiet anymore. It hummed like a machine breathing in fear. Black drones flew lower than before. Their red lights blinked slower now. Slower meant searching. Slower meant they were close inside the small house. Ray was not sleeping. He had not rested since Lyra showed him the glass device. His hands moved across old screens, typing codes, blocking signals, buying time. Lyra stood near the door again. Same place where she had once waited in the cold. Now she waited again. But this time not for kindness. This time for the knock of someone who came to take her. They know. Ray whispered. They are scanning for heat patterns, movement, breath. And that thing you carry, it shines like a small sun. Lyra looked calm. Her voice was soft. They will come, but you do not have to stay. Ray looked up from the screen. He shook his head. Once I stayed away once before. Not again. She stepped closer. You are not a soldier anymore, he answered. No, now I am something harder to find. A man who knows he was wrong. A sound broke through the quiet. Not loud, but sharp, a buzz that did not belong. Ray turned to the corner window. A black drone hovered just outside the glass, watching, waiting. Ray pulled Lyra away from the wall. He reached under the table and pressed a button. The lights flickered once, then dimmed to almost nothing. Stay low, he whispered. They do not need to knock when they know what they want. Lyra closed her eyes. I feel them. They are not afraid. They are not angry. They are empty. Ray touched a small device on his wrist, an old comlink, one he had buried years ago. Now it blinked with green light. A voice spoke from it, cold, flat. Official unit 42, we have confirmed heat trace from restricted species. Open door or face strike protocol. You have 30 seconds. Ray did not answer. He turned off the comm and looked at Lyra. You said you came to save this world. Then let me save you first. He pulled. A hidden door opened behind the bookshelf. A narrow stairway led down into the dark. Go. Now this tunnel leads to the old rail line. They won't scan there. Too old, too deep. I will hold them here. Lyra looked at him. Why, he gave the only answer he had. Because you knocked and I opened. She stepped into the tunnel. No more words. Only eyes that said what voices could not. Ray closed the passage behind her and stood up straight. He walked to the center of the room and turned on every screen, every system, every weapon he had left. The drones outside began to charge. Red lights now steady. No more searching, only action. Ray looked at the old photo on the shelf. He whispered without fear, not this one, not again. Then the door shattered outside, deep in the underground tunnel. Lyra walked alone, her steps slow but sure. She did not cry. She did not look back. In her hand, the glass device began to glow brighter than ever before. She whispered into the darkness, I am coming, and I remember everything. Silence filled the tunnel, not the silence of peace, but the kind that waits before something breaks. Lyra walked deeper into the dark, one step, then another, each step echoing like a question without an answer. Her hands touched the cold walls, old, stone-worn metal, signs of a forgotten path. The tunnel was not made for escape, it was made for memory, and memory followed her like a shadow. She stopped, closed her eyes. She tried to reach for Ray through the air, through the space that still held his warmth, nothing, just silence. She wanted to believe he was still standing, still fighting, still keeping his promise. But part of her knew he had made a choice, and now she had to make hers. Up ahead, the tunnel opened into a broken station. Wires hung from the ceiling like vines. A cracked screen blinked in the corner. One word on repeat: evacuate. Lyra stepped into the open, and someone was already there. A man in black, tall, still watching her. His voice was calm like ice, speaking. You are not hidden. We let you walk. We let you run, because we wanted to see where you would go. Lyra looked at him without fear. Then why speak now? Why not end it? Because you are not just a survivor. You are a signal, and we need to know what that signal means. He stepped closer, pulled out a small tablet on the screen, her face, her blood data, her power level rising. You are not what you were when you landed. You are becoming something else. Lyra took a step back. She felt the device in her hand pulsing. Not just light now, not just memory, but energy, alive, awake. The man kept speaking. You can help us or you can disappear, like your kind before you. She did not answer. She only remembered Ray's voice. Because you knocked and I opened. She looked at the screen again. Her face was not the same anymore. Her eyes now glowed, not fully, but enough. The man noticed too. He spoke faster. That power is not yours to keep. You are a carrier, not a leader. We can take it out clean. You will not feel pain. Lyra looked down at her hands. They were shaking, but not with fear, with something else, with choice. She remembered her mother's voice from long ago. Before the fire, before the ships fell. If they fear your light, let it shine brighter. Lyra took a deep breath. Then she spoke. You want the signal? Here it is. She raised the glass device, and it responded like it had been waiting for her voice. A wave of light exploded from it. Not fire, not wind, but soundless pressure, like the past pushing back against the present. The man flew backward. The screen shattered. The metal walls cracked. Lyra stood in the center of the storm, eyes wide, hair lifted by the air. She was not hiding anymore. She whispered, I choose me. Far above, in the ruins of Ray's home, dust floated through the broken air. Ray lay among the wreckage, his chest rising. Barely he opened one eye, then smiled. He had made his choice to asterisk. The city was no longer asleep. The towers buzzed with red lights. Drones flew in low circles. Screens on every building flashed one message in 3 languages. Target in motion. Do not engage, observe only. Lyra was no longer hiding underground. She stood on the roof of an old station. Her hair moved with the wind. Her eyes burned like a second sunrise. She felt her body changing, each breath heavier than the last, each step charged with something ancient. The device in her hand now floated near her skin, not attached, not held alive. Behind her, a voice crackled from a stolen radio. They are watching you, but they do not understand you. Not yet. It was Ray, weak but alive, his voice like smoke, but still fighting. You have to keep moving. You're not done yet. Lyra turned toward the city below her. A swarm of silent black shapes began to rise. Not human, not machine, something between. They were not sent to capture. They were sent to study, to follow, to learn what made her glow. Lyra ran not away, but through. She jumped from rooftop to rooftop. The city lights painted her in color. Every camera turned to her. Every screen showed her shape. The people in the streets watched. Some pointed, some screamed, but most just stared. They had seen war. They had seen pain. But they had never seen someone glow like hope. Behind her, the swarm chased with no sound, no bullets, no warnings. Just movement. Lyra moved faster. Faster than her feet, faster than her fear. Every time she leapt, the device around her pulsed brighter. It answered her fear with energy. It answered her anger with light. Ray's voice returned. They Are afraid of what you might become. That means you're close, that means you're right. Lyra turned a sharp corner, slid across glass, fell through a broken sign, landed hard. But stood, her knees shook, her hands sparked, something inside her was trying to break free, a second layer of light, not blue, not gold. Something no human language had ever named from the corner of the alley. A figure stepped out, not a soldier, not a drone girl, small, younger than Lyra, but with the same eyes wide, quiet, not afraid. Lyra stopped running, the swarm slowed, they circled the alley, they waited. The little girl looked up at her. You carry the first flame. Do you know what that means? Lyra could barely breathe. No. Tell me. The girl smiled. Not kind, not cruel, only real. It means they will never stop unless you stop them first. Lyra looked up at the sky, the drones, the swarm, the blinking eyes. She took a step forward, then another. The girl whispered, run. But this time, run toward them, above the city. A pulse shot into the sky, not from a weapon, not from a machine, but from a girl running. With memory in her blood, the world was no longer hunting her, it was watching its beginning. The city no longer looked the same. The sky above it was still cracked, the buildings still broken, but now something new moved through the air, something soft, something silent, like forgiveness. A week had passed since the light rose from the rooftops. A light not made by fire, not made by war, but by choice. Lyra had not been seen since that night. No camera found her. No drone could follow her trail. Some believed she vanished into the stars. Some believed she had become one. But Ray knew better. He sat in the same chair, in the same house, now repaired with quiet hands and old tools. The door was still there, open. It had not closed once since she left. Each day, someone new passed by. An outsider, a shadow, a voice with no home. Some slept outside like she had once done. Some knocked gently, some said nothing. But Ray opened the door every time. Not all stayed, not all trusted, but some did, and those who did found something they never had before. A place to begin again. Ray called it the threshold, not a shelter, not a base, a beginning. Then one evening, as rain painted the glass, he heard soft steps. Not loud, not lost, just familiar. He turned to the door, and there she stood. Lyra changed, not older, not brighter, just complete. The light no longer circled her, it lived inside her, calm, still ready. She looked at him with eyes full of every place she had been, every face she had seen, every part of herself she had met. He stood. No words, no breath, only knowing. She stepped inside, and behind her, others followed. Not drones, not soldiers, people, different shapes, different worlds, all carrying something in their hands. Some carried scars, some carried hope, some carried nothing, but all of them walked toward the same door. Ray whispered, they followed you. Lyra looked at him. No, they remembered. And then she turned to the last child at the end of the line. Small, wrapped in cloth, eyes wide like hers had once been. The child sat on the doorstep, waiting. Lyra knelt beside her, held out a hand. Her voice was warm. Come inside. The child looked up. Why? Lyra smiled. Because now it's yours too, forever.